This TV and this thing. Oh, come on. Don't. No, you don't.
All right, we're here covering Origins Game Fair. It's been a long day, but it's been a lot of fun so far. We've met a lot of cool people, seen a lot of cool things, saw some new games, saw some yet-to-be games, and we're here with Jason Kotarski, designer of the Great Heartland Hauling Co, which is one of our favorites. We've enjoyed it. My boys and I play it all the time. It's a great game. Kids love it. Adults love it. It's been really well received with anybody I've played it with. What? Okay. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay technically. So anyway, he's got some other stuff I want to show him, or he's going to show us. That's kind of in the works. A little sneak preview maybe. And so let's get into that. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm working on a few different games right now. They're in prototype stages and kind of like play testing, tweaking. So one of the games I have is a trick-taking game. I love trick-taking games. Yeah. It's a simple thing that people understand. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine a year ago opened up a barber shop in the basement of a tattoo shop in my hometown.
Cool.
So my wife was cutting my hair for years until my buddy opened a business, and now I go to this place and it's just like, you know, you end up going for a haircut and you sit around and chat for a while. And I thought the aesthetic of a barbershop is something classic. You know? So I had this idea, what do you go to a barbershop for? You know, you go to a barbershop for three things. You go for a haircut or a shave or just to gossip, just to catch up, you know. So I thought that would make interesting suits. And if you're a barber trying to get different customers into your chair. So some of the ideas I'm playing with is it's a simple deck. It's 36 cards with my awesome clip art graphic design here. This is like my first attempt at building a game myself, and it's ugly, I admit. Nice. So there's three suits. They're 1 through 12. This is the shave. It's a razor icon. There is the haircut, which is a scissor icon, and then there's the gossip, which is a talking bubble icon. They're all 1 through 12, and it's not a perfect information game where we deal out the whole deck, but it's a game where we each have 6 cards, so you're kind of guessing what other people might have and trying to figure out how valuable your hand is. And the way that the game works is each person would have 6 cards in their hand, and then there's a stack of customer cards. And the customer cards have a lead suit icon on them. So this customer, he wants to come in to the barbershop to get a haircut, right? So that is what has to be led if you have it. But he may be convinced to have a shave if it's a good one, if you can offer him a good one. So that's essentially Trump. But Trump can only win if it's equal to or higher than the highest card that is played. And he's worth $3. So right now these are 1, 2, and 3. But the cool part that makes it a strategic game and not just having to follow a suit and just play your best card is that you're a barber, you have customers showing up in your lobby, and as the active player, I get to peek into the lobby by grabbing 3 cards. And I look at those 3 cards, and I try to figure out, okay, what do I have that I think I can win with? Okay. And then I choose, so if I have bad choices or bad cards that go with them, or if I want to get myself short-suited, then I'm going to pick a card based on that, and I place it face up. And then I discard the other 2, so nobody knows what I got rid of. And then the player to my left would have to lead. They would have to lead with the lead suit if they can. If they can't, they can throw off suit or play Trump. But Trump can only win as long as it's higher than a lead suit card that's played.
Right.
So the play goes around, and whoever wins the customer puts it in front of them, and then gets to lead the next trick. So it's a quick game. You play to $25. Okay. Whoever gets $25 first wins the game. Takes 30 to 45 minutes. It's kind of in that casual range where it's not a game like a climbing game that's super intense like Tishu or Haggis, like a major gamer trick-taking game. Yeah. It's more of the kind of thing you throw in your backpack to take camping, or like take to the in-laws' house to play a trick-taking game that's different than something like euchre.
Sure.
So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm picturing it in my head with some with some beautiful artwork, with some great graphic design that kind of speaks to that Americana that really kind of pulls you in.
Yeah.
That would really, I think, add a lot to the game. But it's been a fun game to explore. So I'm starting to kind of look around and connect with publishers to start talking about that. So we'll see where it ends up. It's
Cool.
54 cards, so if I end up having to put it out myself, it wouldn't be too expensive for the process.
You said you're talking to publishers. Do you see a Kickstarter coming for this in the future, or
Nothing really, nothing yet. I'm just kind of putting feelers out there and seeing what's out there. Part of the cool thing about coming to conventions like this is you meet great people who have great ideas, and everybody wants to help each other out. So I can show it to some of my friends who are game designers. They might say, hey, this publisher might be interested, or another publisher say, hey, I'm not interested, but you might want to talk to this guy. So it's such a friendly kind of collaborative experience like that, and especially the accessibility of new publishers get off the ground with stuff like Kickstarter makes it really just easy to like help each other out. So and we're all learning as we go. It's kind of like the next generation of publishers and game designers are coming out. So I'm just kind of showing it now at this point. So we haven't pulled it out at Origins yet. So I'm hoping to in the Unpub area where people come out and bring out unpublished prototypes. Everybody tries each other's games, gives each other feedback. Some cool stuff. Lots of games have been caught publishers' eyes during those events. And that's where I met Dice Hate Me last year.
Right.
In the Unpub area. So just kind of collaborate and see where it goes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Looks interesting. It's like you said, it's kind of a unique twist on trick taking. It's not just another euchre game or something that's a little deeper. It's just kind of a nice grab and go kind of game. So it's very interesting.
Thanks, man.
What else you got for us?
Well, cool. This is a newer game I've been working on that's got me really excited. Right now, it's called Fidelitas, and it's a game where you are trying to build a team of specialists to plan a revolt. So Fidelitas means loyalty in Latin, or faithfulness. So it's people who are loyal to their home, and you are trying to, secretly, kind of behind the scenes, gather the right people to kind of make a plan that can start a revolution, kind of an idea. So it's a 36 card game where everybody has hidden roles. And there's still some different stuff. I'm actually developing this game with Philip DeBerry, who designed Courtier for the Tempest series, and Revolution from Steve Jackson Games, and Kingdom of Solomon from Minion Games. And it's cool. He's a children's pastor in Cincinnati.
Oh, nice.
And who designs games too. So
cool.
he's coming on board to help me out with this game, and it's going to be my first co-designed game, which is a little scary when you have a nugget of an idea and it's like your baby, and then you let somebody else in, right?
Yeah.
But I figured it's an opportunity for me to grow as a designer because I've never had that experience before. So he'll bring different stuff to the table, and hopefully we'll make a better game out of the deal. But so this is pretty much an alpha prototype. It's super ugly, and and really pretty homebrewed. So you get different abilities or different roles that are hidden. There's these standard roles that are there's a shopkeeper, a blacksmith, a magistrate, and a cobbler. And each one of them has their own shop in town. And these are the locations that you play cards to. Blacksmith shop, cobbler shop, magistrate's office. And their goal is to gather one of each of the 5 characters that are in the play deck at their shop. Or one of 4 of the 5 characters at their shop first to win, because then they've shown that they have enough influence to put the team together to get the job done, so they get to be a leader of the Fidelitas Society, or whatever this fictional name ends up being.
Gotcha.
So in the deck there's magistrate cards and palace guards, cobblers, shopkeepers, and blacksmiths. So there's 5 different cards in the deck. So their goal is to gather those people, but you do it by playing cards from your hand. You have 2 cards in your hand. The magistrate, I have 2 magistrates, but anyway, a cobbler and a magistrate. We'll start there.
All right.
You can only play the cards to their own shop, but when you play them to their shop, they activate a special ability that allows you to manipulate the cards. So if I play a cobbler, he allows me to discard a pair of cards that are anywhere at a location in order to move a card from anywhere else to another shop. So that's one of his abilities. The magistrate, he allows me to draw an extra card at the end, so I have more cards to work with. the shopkeeper, if I play the shopkeeper to the shop, he allows me to swap 2 cards on any locations. And the blacksmith allows me to move 2 cards to any adjacent locations. So since the goal is to gather a certain amount of rolls to one place, it helps to be able to manipulate those cards and kind of work secretly. So you don't want to give up too early who your role is by trying to go right saying, I'm going to get everybody in the shopkeeper's shop because everybody's going to know you're the shopkeeper and start getting rid of your cards. Right. The palace guard comes into play because you need a palace guard who knows their way around the palace, but they make you nervous because they're probably working for the people that you're trying to, revolt against, right? So when you play palace guard, you get to move anyone from that location to anywhere else. But the palace guard has a secret role in the game. If they clear shops twice, they win. So you need one on your team, but they may clear your shop. So there's these guard tokens that represent shops being cleared. So anytime the 3rd guard is played at a location, everybody gets scared because there's too many guards on location, so they run away. And they go in the discard pile. So it's kind of a reset for that location. So the cool thing about this is you can convince other people that you're just trying to stop a person who's the shopkeeper from winning and get them to use their guards to clear that room. And when they clear a room, this flips up. And then you're halfway to victory. So it's this kind of bluffing game where you're trying to mislead people, trying to get them to think you're somebody who you're not, while slyly maneuvering cards to your home shop to meet your goal. There's also some special goals or other kind of various victory conditions we're developing with some different roles, and are even talking about the possibility of having 2 different kind of agendas, so it's not as easy to figure out who's who. So it's new, but it's kind of this fitting the trend of the micro games that are out there. It's slightly bigger, so it's 36 cards. There's 24 cards in the deck. There's 8 rolls right now. We might end up with 12.
Sure.
And then there's 5 tokens and or 6 tokens, the guard tokens in the 4 shops. So it's a really small game, and it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes depending on what's going on and how quickly people can kind of work out their goals. But it's been playing really fast from 2 to 4 players. And a pretty rewarding experience for the amount of components. So I'm excited to kind of dive into that more with Philip. He's actually going to be at Origins tomorrow night. We're going to be collaborating a little bit and working and meeting face to face for the first time. It's this cool internet thing that lets us be friends across the country.
So cool. So aside from the gaming table, you said an associate pastor at a church, and then you've just recently, within the past 9 months or so, you've planted a church. You're in Michigan.
That's right.
In Flint, is that correct?
Yeah, Flint, Michigan, yep.
So tell us a little bit about just the experience of planning a church, how that happened. What's your story there?
Yeah, I didn't grow up in church. I grew up playing in punk rock bands. So my experience with church was very limited to holidays. And I saw God as the guy who came around at the holidays and made my mom cry because she was thinking about all that she was grateful for, and I didn't really get it. We'd go to church, at Christmas. But I had a lot of Christian friends in high school. They were involved in Young Life and in a local youth group that really hung around and kind of loved me and accepted me for who I was, even though I was totally different, and my life was all about playing in a punk rock band. They'd come out to my shows and invest in my life, and it was this really kind of neat unconditional love thing. So I ended up at some point my friend's youth pastor planted a church, and this was when I was 22 years old, and one of my longtime friends from high school came along and just said, hey, we're starting a new church. It's gonna be the kind of place where anybody can go. You don't have to be sure about the God thing. You can wear whatever you want. We don't care about that stuff. And I was like, yeah, that sounds groovy. I'm ready to think about this God. And for the first time, I went to church as an adult, kind of to answer some of those questions that I had that really weren't welcomed in that punk rock scene that I came from. They were there, but I didn't have a place to express them where I felt safe. So I became a Christian when I was 23 years old, and I ended up marrying one of those youth group kids from high school that had stuck by me and been my friend for a long time. And there's a sweet party going on right now.
Yeah, Whipping it up. All right.
So we got married. We got involved in Young Life, where like she had taken me as a high schooler.
Nice.
We thought this would be a great way to kind of start our marriage, like serving in a volunteer way together. And through that experience, I felt like God had gifted me in a way to connect with people and to communicate who Jesus is from this perspective of a person who didn't grow up in church.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the punk rocker who was living this kind of scandalous life or anything. My life was all about music.
Yeah.
But through those experiences of leadership at Young Life, I started kind of seeing, I think that I'm supposed to do this. I was working a job that I just did so I could have weekends free to be in a band. My band started to kind of fall apart because we had some different goals, and it was becoming more like a job and not so fun anymore. And we left, and when my band broke up, I felt like, this is time for me to take that step. So I went back to college, and I finally finished some of that stuff up while I started going to a ministry training school, because I felt like that's what God wanted me to do. He wanted me to share God's love with people.
Yeah.
Whatever that meant, I didn't really know at the time.
Right.
So through that church, I got involved as a volunteer youth minister for several years, kind of interning. Great relationship with my pastor there, Dave Flowers, who really invested in my life for years. And while I was going through school, and there was a time that the associate pastor left when I was just finishing up school, and I was starting to look for jobs, and he said, well, somebody's going to give you a chance, so it might as well be us since we've invested so much in you. So the first church I was ever a part of, I got hired as the associate pastor.
Nice.
And that was about 4 years ago now.
Okay.
I served there for 3 years, always knowing that like I had this thing that in the back of my head that I wanted to do something, a church that would connect with people like me. Because if there wasn't a new church like the church that was planted at the right time in my life, then I wouldn't go to church. I wouldn't have went, But all this stuff came together: the right people, the right place, the right time, and I met Jesus. So through that, I've always had that idea. There's people out there for whom their church doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And especially from this music community that I've been involved in for years, and just in the downtown Flint area where my wife and I live, pretty much downtown, a mile from the heart of the city. And we just love it there when a lot of people are leaving, and just saw an opportunity to say, let's just do something. Let's jump, because there's people out there who don't have a church yet. And so we were totally blessed by our congregation to say, take whoever you want, whoever wants to be a part of this, they can go with you, and we will help you out. We'll help you with, and we'll meet with you, and you can come to us when there's struggles and issues, and help you get off the ground as much as we can. So, my pastor's still great. He's a huge mentor to me, and we left we announced it to our church last January, and then in July of 2012, I ended my job at Wild Wind, kind of wrapped up stuff, and we had our first services at Dwellings in September. So we meet for 9 months. We meet in a punk rock venue downtown Flint.
Nice.
Just my old roommate said, we don't use our punk rock venue on on Sundays, and we could use your money. And I'm like, we could use a cheap space.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the idea of doing church in places that are neutral, in places where people already kind of live their lives. There's people who go there and feel comfortable already that don't have a connection to the church, and I feel comfortable there. So we just felt like that's a good fit. It's a space we can share, we can work together, and it's been neat to kind of figure everything out as we go. We try to have a more conversational, interactive vibe at the church, so people who are questioning can have space to answer questions, or ask questions. And we don't try to answer all the questions because we don't know. We're just trying to figure this thing out as we go too.
Right.
And it's kind of this mixture of like a church worship service and a little bit small group, So we lean a little bit more towards community and conversation than like formal teaching. But I bring a message every week, but it doesn't always have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, So it feels like a big experiment, and it's hard sometimes because you worry about the wrong stuff. Like we don't, people are gone one week because stuff's going on, and in a small community of 25, 30 people, you feel that.
Right.
But but it's not about the numbers for us. It's about being a presence in a place where people don't care to be a presence, and relationships take time, and we're just trying to build relationships and be present to what God is doing around us. So we're it's like slow church, and we have to remind ourselves that that's what we wanted to do, and that's okay, because we'd like to see big stuff happen. So
that's the human side of it. Is, you try to qualify what you're doing, and you try to validate what you're doing by the numbers that you see or by measurable things. But sometimes when you get in that situation, it sounds like you're kind of invading a certain aspect of culture, really, by being in that punk rock venue, by being in, by targeting those people that may just not know God how they could know Him because of whatever their past may be or whatever their hang-ups may be, and so you're making a place for them to make God accessible, to make Him approachable. And so that's cool. It's you have to take that balance, and it's easy for us in our flesh to go, oh man, we don't have 500 people here. What are we doing wrong? When you're making a huge difference in the people's lives that are there. So that's cool, man. That's really cool. It's good to hear your heart about that.
Thank you.
To kind of fill that void.
Yeah, and like you take a risk. Like I'm working on this. I'm an associate. I was an associate pastor at this church that's established, right? And tying it back into this cool gaming thing that's going on. I get paid. At, a decent salary, and I left. We know it's a sacrifice, and we're making some sacrifices, and we're just kind of stepping out in faith that we're going to be okay. And my wife's a teacher, so that's really awesome. She has a great job, and she teaches kids who are autistic, so she has a real passion to serve those kids. And in May of last year is when I signed with Dice Hate Me Games, right? So just as I'm about to wrap up my job, where I have this steady income, and we're stepping into this new place where I don't know, if I'm going to get paid. Right. I had this other stream of kind of income coming in, and it was this kind of cool confirmation of like, hey, I'm going to take care of you. And it's this weird thing of like, I love board games, and like it was a hobby, and then at the right time, like my game connected with the right people, and it's we're here 3 months after it's been officially released, and it's almost sold out, and looking at another print run already, and building relationships, and all of a sudden I never thought I never thought I'd have more than one game. I never thought I'd have one game, and now that I have one, all these ideas are coming to me. So it's this kind of cool like tent making thing. I have this thing on the side that I get to make games for fun, and then I get to get paid a little bit for that, and then I get to plant a church that I would want to go to, that maybe people don't know they would want to go to yet, would maybe want to go to eventually, and just one step at a time. It's been a cool kind of journey, and growing process. So lots of fun.
Very cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for sharing the new stuff that you're working on with us. Like I said, we've enjoyed thoroughly Heartland Hauling Company. It's been really, it's been a favorite in the Isley household. So really appreciate that. And just thanks for sharing your heart and your story a little bit and what you're doing. And, we pray for you, man. Be blessed in that. Be encouraged. It's good stuff. Very cool stuff. So
appreciate what you guys are doing. It's a fun place to connect board games and kind of like what we're doing with our faith. So I appreciate what you guys are doing too.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
So this is Jason Kotarski of the Great Heartland Hauling Company, and pretty soon some other cool stuff, hopefully. And I'm Jeremiah with Theology of Games here at Origins Game Fair. Thanks.
Awesome. Sweet, dude.